Hey everybody, what's happening? I am Tommy, and you are on the boat. What's happening? Hope everyone's having a decent night. The This is another one of those streams, people. I'm sorry, but I'm getting more pissed off by the minute. So if I hope I don't go over the top. I really don't. It tends to get to you the more that this stuff just starts to seem ridiculous. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you know when I'm going live. And for God's sakes, there's 230 of you in here. Hit that like button. It makes people show up. Hey, Buffy, good to see you. Caroline in Canada, I'm glad you're here. And from Mass, what's happening? Toby, good to see you. Glad you are here. And it's Monk. P. Taylor, what's up? So we have heard a bunch of new stuff. If you're just getting here now, I won't bury the lead. The arrest that was done last night in front of the Guthrie house is bizarre to say the least. There was a person driving back and forth in front of the house the whole time, allegedly doing this number and checking out his phone. On his phone was a picture of Nancy Guthrie. Now, it doesn't necessarily say anything. My man, you look fantastic in green. Thank you, my brother. Welcome. It doesn't necessarily mean squat, right? It's not proof of anything, but it's certainly odd. And they didn't say he drove by once or twice. This cat was blowing donuts back and forth. Literally, I believe Brian Enton said it was close to 100 times. I've heard about 5 other people comment on it that were there. The lowest number I heard was 50. So this is a guy, keep in mind, they've made this a one-way street. So you're just looping around in circles. They pull him out of the car, and apparently he smells like weed. So they give him a bag of weed. They give him a sobriety test on the side of the road, which is odd, right? Because it's not usually something that weed necessarily picks up on. Nevertheless, if you're riding in front of that house with a picture of the victim on your phone, I would say there's a decent chance they're going to find a way to take you downtown, and they have. I don't know any more information on whether or not he was released, but it's odd, right? It's odd to say the least. Rob from Louisville, Kentucky, I'm glad you're here, man. Glad you're here. We saw smokes. Renee B., what's happening? So this is just adds another layer of shit. And to be really honest, one of the biggest problems we have right now is the fact that we're all so damn invested in it, right? And I don't mean us, right? We're a couple of thousand people, but there's literally a group of people that have gotten so into this that it's kind of over the top, right? It's getting scary. Also, another thing that is really odd. Yeah, this is classy, right? What's up with the photo shoot near Nancy's house involving a female porn star wearing black leather micro shorts, etc.? How much more weird can this get? Yeah, believe it or not, I was going to get to that. Yeah, the goth photo shoot. That's the one that she's talking about, Zero Fox. And speaking of your name, obviously that person had no fox to give either, because that's just one of those things that doesn't come across as classy. Why don't you head out to the crime scene? If Cheech solves things, I'm going to lose my... I don't think there's much chance of that, Roddy. I really don't think. Vegas, good to have you in the house. This is where it gets really weird. Today, Harvey Levin, go figure, Harvey Levin had something to say today, and he came out to talk about the new video. And most of you have seen the new video. It's not much to look at just yet. We did have a porn star photo shoot. It just doesn't get any better than that, does it? So there's new video today. And that video, it was obtained by Fox. I don't know whether Fox got it first and gave it to the cops or the cops gave it to Fox. It's kind of unclear. But Fox is the one that first ran with it. And what ended up happening with this is that Harvey Levin comes on and says the FBI has said they have no interest in the video, that it's just a waste of time. If Harvey Levin tells you that today is, what day is today, Friday? You might want to check with somebody, because Harvey is just one of those people that, like I said, it's usually... it's become just as much of a propaganda channel as it is the National Enquirer on YouTube, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if he's saying this. Maybe the FBI doesn't want us to think that there's anything about this. The reason that the FBI said they're not interested in this is because it's so far off the beaten path. It is the most secure way to get out of her neighborhood if you don't want to run into a crap load of cameras, a crap load of people, or run a chance of seeing a cop. If you had to go 15 miles, you could whack a bunch of it off by going straight through the Catalina foothills and popping out on East River Road. This was a part of the town that I actually lived much closer to where they would have popped out. That was almost going through my neighborhood to pop out. And tons of people drive that way. People are still saying it could be Carlos. And a lot of people are still saying it could be the son-in-law. There are a spat of videos out today that smut up the son-in-law massively. Please, if you get on a video and you start listening to something, go to the comments before you hear anything else. And if you read AI anywhere in there, save yourself the time of watching this. Because some of the stuff they said, there's two different and I personally have never been interviewed by the cops when the press were allowed inside, but everything said in that video is wrong. Nothing in it is true. It's just a complete and utter hoax to make money. Sadly, these people can get away with this. There's nothing. The random guy on somebody's porch. Caregiver, you talking about from a while ago? 1 second, people. The sun came out today and Mike absolutely going nuts with them. If you're talking about I'm sorry to hear that it's buffering. Truthfully, I am. Hopefully it's not buffering for everybody. YouTube sucks. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, I've seen that footage too. It's everything about what Neckbeard's behavior is unfortunate. And I don't know how everybody reacts in this situation. I've never seen anyone react like him. They still have his car, right? I don't believe that they've ruled him out as a suspect. I haven't ruled him out as a suspect. Tommy, your watch is badass. What am I wearing? This is an absolutely beautiful watch. It's made by Swatch, but it is a knockoff. Sorry? A collaboration. Maybe that's a nicer way to put it. Sorry, folks. It's a collaboration with a company that Swatch owns called Blancpain. And if it were a real Blancpain, instead of the Swatch version, it wouldn't be $600. It would be, 25 grand. What do you think the odds of us knowing the truth? The truth, I think we'll catch the people that did it. They are going through tens of thousands of hours of video. Don't let them BS you. They have so much video that they're going through. If you remember back to Coburg, man, give me my, I hate YouTube. Hear that? I don't like the big red button. A woman that worked at a gas station went through hours and hours and hours and hours until she saw a car driving really, really fast. She turned that over to the feds, and that's how they started on to finding Brian Koberger first. I believe that they should have been, that 2 mile range that they were having. We need everything within 2 miles. Why the hell would that 2 miles stop at a place where you could continue out? If you understand the Catalina foothills, you could drive 1.5 miles without anybody with a driveway seeing you. That doesn't mean that between there and the exit, you might not pass 20 that do have a shot of seeing you. It's a very odd neighborhood. Renee B, I might do a watch show at some point. Tommy, they plan to do it on a full moon night so they could drive with no lights on. Well, that's a possibility. Driver stayed in the car, got used to the dark as well. It's a rugged neighborhood to drive with no lights on. Now, if they're locals, they might be able to do it. It's real. I mean, even with a full moon, there for a place that doesn't look like there's a lot of trees, there are a lot of trees in the Catalina foothills. There may not be a lot in Tucson, but there's a lot in the Catalina foothills. Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of people talking about this. There's a lot of people talking about this. I don't know. His eyes absolutely look like it to me, but that's all I have to go on. Hi, Tommy. What do you think about the images I sent you? Thank you. You didn't. Sorry, you did not. Try it again and look at exactly how my name is spelled, because I looked for him all day long, from the timestamp before I went live all the way up. In fact, I answered a bunch of emails, but I didn't see yours. What's the new video showing? I missed it. It's showing what they believe to be. It goes by at an amazing speed, really, really fast. And I'll tell you something else. That doesn't show professionalism either. Take this from a criminal. The hardest thing in the world to do is drive away from a crime scene not going 70, right? The first thing you want to do is put your foot to the floor. But if you got away with the first leg of your crime, don't get caught being pulled over for speeding, right? I robbed banks. It was a very difficult thing to leave a bank and drive 35 miles an hour in a 35 zone when everything in your body's telling you to drive 100. But it just seems really dumb, especially on those roads. But someone does go by, and they go by this woman's house 8 minutes after the alleged time that her pacemaker separated from the base. It's 2 miles away. And this is a perfect example of what I was saying last time. It takes 8 minutes to drive that 2 miles. But Harvey Levin was on saying, that guy was only 5 miles away. The guy with the 2 backpacks, he could have been there in 5 minutes if he was driving 60. Good friggin' luck. That car flies by, but ain't no way it's going 60, right? They're going to put that thing into AI. That's exactly what's going to happen, right? And AI will do a hell of a job at putting this all together. Why was a porn star doing a photo shoot outside of Nancy's house? Probably because they literally have absolutely no class, and people will do anything for relevancy, right? The term clout chasing is just such a stupid thing that we actually have it as an expression in the world that we live in. But people will do anything to be acknowledged, and they are willing to do that. You know, Neckbeard, and I still like Neckbeard. People are going to crap on me for it. He's the last person to see them alive, and they waffle like a mother on this. They really do. There's been so much misinformation about him as well. That's a fact. I read it takes weeks to get the GPS location data. There can't be that many cars that drove through that area in a 2-hour period of time. Can it pick up even if a phone is off? Well, you know what? They would say that it is not, right? However, there's a great series out there where a guy that went to prison, he's a CIA operative, and he refused to do some things that were rank, and the CIA ended up, he got prosecuted and went away for it. This guy has gotten out and will answer any question you ask about the CIA. And one of the questions was, can they listen through your phone and track it, even if it's off? He said, absolutely. Absolutely. So they have the technology to do it. However, you got to be aiming for somebody. So what they do is called geofencing. And it's not going to say, all right, who was on this street at that time? It's going to say who pinged off of these 3 towers. So you can kind of narrow it down to a region. But then you got to comb through all that. So while there may have only been a couple of cars that drove by her exact address, that neighborhood is like a spider web. And I would imagine thousands of cars drive through it every night. There's a lot of people that live in the Catalina foothills. It's just that it goes like this, up and down and everywhere. So you don't see people drive by, but there's a lot of traffic that goes through there. So, and they're going through, here's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that do I think the cousin could still be connected? I'm not high on Carlos at all. Carlos looks very genuine to me. It's really the only thing I'm going on. But he got out and got in the camera's face with no problem and said, man, I want my name clear. Do whatever you got to do to clear my name. He looked innocent to me. He did. And I know a lot of people, we nitpick things that people say. With all due respect, if you've never had your door kicked in and had people come in with badges on, they don't walk in and go, hey, what are you doing? They go, get on the effing ground, right? It's the scariest crap you've ever seen in your life. Whether you're guilty or not, their theory is an overwhelming show of force. So they bust that door in and start screaming at the top of their lungs and putting people on the floor with their hands on their head. And it'll gunshot the shit out of you. You won't be right for a hot minute. So if mom was sounding a little off, I would imagine she was a little off, right? I would imagine that was a traumatic experience. Carlos is related to somebody's stepbrother. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I don't like Carlos. As far as Luke goes, Luke ends up in the crosshairs for one reason and one reason only, right? I honestly was able to track down why they got a warrant for him. And it came down to 2 things. It came down to where his location was, right? And then somebody had said that the purchase of the car seemed sketchy, right? Now, if you're a drug dealer, your car purchases are sketchy. That's why you go to a place like MB Motors. Or if you are, honeybee, I don't know. You look like you're doing all right. So this is one of those situations where they get those 2 tips and then they go, all right, who is this guy? Then they run him. And this dude's got a huge criminal record, right? This guy does dirt. They ask around town, they find out where he drinks, and those people go, "Oh yeah, he's a collector for a drug dealer." Is former ex-girlfriend related to Nancy? I have heard. Yeah, you know what though? Every time you hear something like that, take it with a grain of salt. Because what happens are we get an awful lot of reports from people that see names that have absolutely no bearing. Like all of the people that keep saying, yeah, no, his girlfriend, this comes back to Nancy Guthrie. It doesn't, right? I actually wasted a half a day doing family tree bullshit on this. There's no relation to anybody that, her name is what, Carla? Is that it? I can't think of it off the top of my head. No relation whatsoever to anybody in that family. Didn't happen. Did not happen. YouTube is broken. Yeah, it's been going on a lot. There's a picture of neckbeard with facial hair, short, looks like a scar on top lip. Do you have a? We can see to check. I know. To the best of my knowledge, he does not have a scar on his top lip. I've blown up photos of him. Regardless, the guy at the front door ain't him. He is considerably bigger than that dude at the front door. But I never liked him for. I never liked him for being in the house, for going into the house. I think that somebody planned this and hired people. I don't think he's the guy that was going to go out and do that. I think he got his alibi tight. He dropped mom off, walked her in there, heads home, right? I don't know whether there's a camera at his house, but guaranteed you can check the phone. I mean, the car. Cars ping. Is tracking everywhere you go. Do you think the U.S. attorneys at the House yesterday were seeing what they can use to prosecute? That's a great question. So here's the deal on this. There have been reports from a lot of different people that are smart, right? Not a criminal like myself, that will break down what they think is going on there. And there seems to be uniform agreement that the prosecutors are going out there because they want to do the walkthrough before they turn the House over to the family. It's not having to do with anything going forward with the prosecution, but they think someday a prosecution will get there. So they were going to go that route and make sure they get all of that walkthrough and pictures done. Then I called a federal attorney who I happen to know, not the one I was married to, actually one that prosecuted me. But we get along. So I reached out and said, hey, is this de rigueur? Do you guys go out to the crime scene and do walkthroughs? And they said what I said yesterday. They said, no, not usually. Because the police will do a walkthrough. They will video it as they walk through it. Every corner, every nook, every cranny. We usually get all the info we need off of that. Now, maybe they do it different in Arizona than they do it in Northern Nevada. Either way, I think this is a signal. I really do. To me, this leads me to believe that they're in the process of getting something together, whether or not it's going to lead to squat. But I don't buy the we don't have any suspects thing. I've heard that in so many cases, only to hear that there's an arrest the next day. So I'm not buying that. My biggest problem right now, what pisses me off the most, is just the ungodly amount of misinformation. This is the hands down biggest abduction case in the history of the U.S., right? People could say the Lindbergh baby, but if you didn't live in the right city, you wouldn't have even heard about that, right? The communication at that point wasn't what it is now. I mean, we got people from Australia. We got people from Africa, all over the world that are watching this going on currently. I mean, we have, the last time I looked, we had like 37 countries last week that tuned into this channel. So how many places around the world do you think are hooked on this, right? So it's gotten to the point where it's out of control because half of the people we watch now on YouTube used to have a very serious, a lot of these people used to have serious jobs at big networks. And when you watch somebody like Megyn Kelly, right, on a major network, I mean, a lot of us watched her on 2 or 3 major networks while she was in network television, right? And they get elevated to some kind of a platform where we believe the things they're telling us are the truth. But early on in this case, in the Nick Reiner case, she reported that Nick Reiner's mother died on the way to the hospital. And in that ambulance, she told the daughter that the son was the one who did it. That never happened. And if she was on network television, she would never have reported that. Network television lacks balls, but they also don't pump out crap loads of misinformation all that often. And on YouTube, it is rampant, right? And it's absolutely terrifying. The number of people, do me a favor, everybody, hit subscribe, hit that bell for notification, and smack the like button. There's a lot of you in here. Security company cameras put in. So here's the other one that's really cooking right now, and you've probably heard this. Thank you, Roberta. Roberta says only 281 of you have hit the thumbs up button. If you hate me, now go ahead, please hit that thumbs up button. The new one is, you may have heard people talking about a star on the jacket of this individual. Allegedly, there is a company out there that uses that symbol for a security company. I don't know. Again, this isn't my strong suit. I don't know if the pictures that I'm looking at are being AI enhanced or generated or anything else. But when they show that image everywhere that I look it up, it looks like there's red stitching on the outside of the star. But I'm watching people on network TV go, can't tell if it's a shadow. You got to be a pimp to get your shadow outlined with red piping, right? I mean, I've never seen that. Maybe they're putting that in there so that we can see what we're looking at. But it looks to me like there's stitching in it. That was on JLR, some whack job. It's also on Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace ran with that story. I think there's a couple of other fairly decent sized ones. It enhances the star. Okay. Not sure I understood that, but that's all right. There's a lot of things I don't understand. Yeah, YouTube sucks. And currently it is locking up my chat again. They all did. Yeah, everybody's running with this story. And I understand why. Look, even if there isn't a security company that this person is working for that has that symbol, somebody put that on a jacket. And anytime something like that goes on something, there's a record of it. Hit that like button, everybody, because Tommy is a YouTuber. You know what? Gary Mackey gets it. It's the truth. I am a YouTuber. What up, homies? Tara, good to see you. Michelle, glad you're here. So we're going to be caught in this shitstorm. We have to get to a point where we make the people that suck at this get less views, right? For real. Harvey came out and said, absolutely in no uncertain terms, the FBI's got no interest in that white car, means nothing. No one would have exited the crime scene that way. Put a 3 in the chat if that sounds like BS to you. If you're running this case, why would you not look at every single possible way out of that neighborhood that you could? If there is an image of a car driving by fast 8 minutes after her pacemaker got away from the base, is this them now saying, oh, we don't want to tip off anybody? Because they sure didn't give a shit about tipping people off last week when they were telling them about that sniffer device. About Reese, I've been waiting for her streaming from Scientology protests, and I haven't seen anything. Is she doing okay? Yeah, she's in Hollywood taking pictures next to Anthony Hopkins' star. She will be going live probably right after my show. I'm going to be heading over there to watch it as well. Sikorsky became a member and look amazing in green. I'm telling you, if everyone does not look better in green, they still look damn good. Yeah, see, most of you, this just sounds stupid. It really does. How in the hell could the FBI not want this? Oh, by the way, here's another one that everybody seems to be panicking on. Gary Mackey, thank you so much. Look at that, people. 5 of you just turned green. Gary gets it. See, everyone does look better in green. Gary, you're a stud. Here's another one, people, that as far as this, the misinformation that gets pumped out from Harvey Levin, I can see them not wanting to do this. I can see them not wanting to proliferate the fact that this might be it, right? This might be it. However, those days are over. And you know why those days are over? I know people are going to go, well, because of YouTubers? No, because of Sheriff Nanos. Because when they knew that they were looking for the car that Brian Koberger had, we didn't know, right? We didn't know. But now this has become a different kind of primetime news, different kind of entertainment. And I admit it's a more interesting case. This kind of whodunit, it's not just who killed somebody, right? There's a body missing. The person could still be alive. 1 second. Here's the problem with the dogs in the neighborhood. I don't remember hearing dogs bark in my neighborhood ever. It's not your average neighborhood. The way that people are, oh, you mean bloodhounds. If you're talking about those kind of dogs, it was pathetic. They cut it off after the first 30 hours. Nothing about this makes sense. Nothing about this makes any sense at all. Authentic truth is much needed across every topic. I agree with you. But the new world that we live in, I don't blame the YouTubers for doing this, but the fact that this is money, I promise you that right now they are spending, YouTube is paying content creators like this. If I went live 5 times a day on this, I could get views 5 times a day on this. But all I'm doing is milking people that I'm weakening the play is what I'm doing. And I have no desire to do that. Yeah, I think this is a big deal. Thoughts on Savannah's last video, the one about raising the reward information to $1 million. That's the second to the last video. She's done another one recently that said, yeah, Robin, 30 hours. Every single search was over after 30 hours. That was it. That was a wrap. The search cut off a little more than 1 day after it started. Savannah's most recent missive to the people was a direct attempt. Again, that she mentions the $1 million. But this time what she said was, if you want to remain anonymous, there's a way that we can figure out to do that. We can pay in cash if you want to be paid in cash. I find that a little bit interesting too. Harvey Levin also said today when he went on his channel, the satanic piece of vermin that he is, that they have no interest whatsoever in the white car. The FBI doesn't care, but they're super interested in that first ransom letter that TMZ got. And I went back just to make sure that I wasn't smutting up Harvey Levin for reasons other than the fact that that he's a scumbag. I hit the like button every time just on the off chance that Johnny makes a cameo appearance. Well, he probably will, Camden Girl. There's a decent chance. He normally does. And he's going live, I think, tonight at midnight with me. As long as YouTube has got I'm telling you, right now I'm looking at my thing. Well, right now I'm at 950, but we have really good internet here. One of the few things that is absolutely... Well, it's better here for the price than you could get in the United States. Good day, Koala Crafts. Glad that you're here. I find it fascinating that she said, we'll pay you $1 million in cash. I think that, the outside hope that maybe there's some way, but she wasn't saying to return our mother alive. They want to know what happened. They absolutely want to know. Oh, yeah, don't quote Harvey. Harvey truthfully wants more than anything to stay dead ass square in the middle of this story because it's making him huge money. And Harvey is also a clout chaser from hell. But here's what's going to make you sick. I went back and looked at all of the first correspondence. And the very first time that Harvey comes out and talks about the first letter that could have been a ransom note. That's how he said it the first time. He mentions to us that they talked about knowing where the watch was. They talked about how they knew that the lights outside had been messed up. And they talked about the fact that they had tried to turn this over to the sheriff's department. They couldn't get the right person, but they're still reaching out to him, which means Harvey went live before the cops had the information. There's no other way to read that. Every other outlet that got it didn't go live until the FBI had the info. Maybe the FBI would have said to Harvey, don't go live with this. Maybe the reason that he had a hard time getting a hold of the people in law enforcement was because that low-life piece of trash decided that he'd much rather go live than ask for permission, right? Asking for forgiveness is always easier than permission, right? It was disturbing as hell to me to realize that every single time he gets one of those, dystopian. They have gotten rid of what looks like the second suspect. It's a very hard thing to find. You're right, Roddy Mom. This is a bad dude. I don't care what you do for a living, right? If somebody comes in and the info you have can make you money, or if you turn it directly over to the feds, how about saying to them, look, I'm going to turn this over to you. I want the exclusive on anything that happens after that. You call me first, right? That's how news people used to work, right? We're going to help you out with that. Tell me what I can say. Tell me what I can't say. How can I help in this case? Not how can I make more money in this case? Well, you didn't get on the phone right away, so we're just going live. I don't believe he tried to get the right person on the phone. I think if you called up anybody at that police station and said, I have a correspondence from somebody who's supposedly asking for ransom, I don't think there's much of a chance that someone there is going to go, yeah, we'll have to get back to you on that crap. I mean, do you buy that? Uh-oh. Good Lord.
What's going on?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
To see
there he is. Hit that like button. See that?
Hey, go check out my channel and subscribe, please. Thank you.
Yep. They should be looking at cameras along the route Tomato took to see if he left when he left Nancy. They did. I promise you they did. But what they should have done was get a map out. Like, this is third grade shit here, but get a map out. look at her house and say, how many ways can you exit Catalina foothills? Because you cannot get out of the Catalina foothills without hitting a major road. The major roads are going to be the ones that have one of the 200 red light cameras that are in the Tucson area, right? Take a Zyrtec. I actually have it in a spray, but the last time I used the spray, I got people in the comments that said, the dude's a junkie. How did they already rule out the cars that drove by that house? Roulette Master? Sounds like bullshit to me. I'm sorry. Pardon my French. It just doesn't sound right to me. Hey, Blitz. Good to see you. It doesn't sound right to me at all. Sounds like an absolute myth, but maybe they're not trying to telegraph stuff to the perp. Maybe they've realized after how much they've screwed up so far that, telling them about the sniffer, telling them about the backpack, telling them about the holster for the gun. We don't get this in cases. That's not what you share with us. You say things like, they came through the back door, right? Now other people will start, here's the other gem of the day. Are you ready? Sheriff Nano said, listen, don't call in tips if you're not really sure. I'm paraphrasing, but by about that much. He said, if you're not sure, there's never been a person in the history of police work that told somebody not to call in. The healthcare in Ecuador is 20th worldwide. America's 27. Heidi, amazing healthcare here. And I and if you believe in psychics, great, right? Cops normally don't work with them unless they're really desperate. So, or people that call in and say, I had a dream. People call in and say, I went to a guy to high school with a guy in New Hampshire in 1978. I think it might be the guy on the porch. Separate them, right? These don't make a lot of sense. These seem fairly, put them into 40 piles. You still have to work every one of them. I mean, what are they doing? Just taking the whole stack and going one after the other? Because if so, she's never going to be found. This guy's an ass in every sense of the word. Every single time he does anything, I have less faith in those people. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. OnlyFans macabre photo shoot out in front of Nancy's today. Some speculate she is a friend of Kayla Day's, who is allegedly related to Nancy Guthrie via marriage. Are they being used nefariously? That woman's not related to the Guthries. Nevertheless, this is how, and I'm not busting your chops because this is getting reported. I saw that too. But I've chased that down. They're not related, man. Yeah, wow, palm to the forehead. Thank you, Gary. But this is one of those situations, right, where you go, God, help us. You're doing an erotic kind of a photo shoot in front of a missing woman's house where the whole world is broadcasting. How badly do you need attention? Seriously, how bad did mom and dad treat you as a friggin' kid that you're going to go out there with your ass hanging out to the world at a crime scene? Good Lord, man. You want a snapshot of everything wrong with the United States of America currently? It just was taken right there from some goth porn star. There it is in a nutshell. They're all neckbeard fans. Well, boy, you think life couldn't get any worse if that's your fan base. Holy hell. Hear that? Sounded like a firework. Still think this was a predator sex crime. Here's the thing, Blitz. Even Nanos is now conceding that this probably wasn't a one-person crime. You think 2 or 3 people went and grabbed an 85-year-old woman or an 84-year-old woman for sex? To me, that one, I don't know. You could be right, but once again, and I've said this a bunch on here, but yeah, I'm not a prude either. What are you kidding me? Like, I'm Glenn Quagmire. I just think there's a time and a place, but the place for that probably isn't in front of a missing woman's house. Imagine being Savannah, right, or anybody else in the family and seeing that person out there strutting, going, "What the hell is this, man?" I swear to God, it's just a matter of time before we're going to have vendors going up and down the street selling hot dogs, and posters and shit like that. It's out of control. Tommaso should have stayed in Italy. What a shame. You know what? He'd probably be happier if he was in Italy now. Have the rewards ever been paid? Not one time. $300 was sent to to one of the original virtual wallets, one of the wallets on the blockchain. $300 was tracked into that wallet. No one has ever taken it out. My gut on that one is that you might not be dumb enough to immediately go and get money out, but you might have put an alert on the account so that like anytime you get money, anytime you get money, it'll ding to your phone. And I think the FBI might have been hoping that if somebody put some money on there, I don't know that it was them, but the people that chase stuff like that down could have probably been hoping for a notification to a phone that might lead them to somebody. Tommy, if I remember correctly, Harvey broke news before law enforcement could tell Kobe Bryant's wife that they had crashed. Yeah, and there's probably 3 other examples like that. Harvey doesn't have a soul. I'm sorry, and I hope he's watching someday. You're a bad man, Harvey Levin. What's that? Yeah, he has a soul. It's just dark as hell. It's hey, well played. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know if you're late or if you just, but yeah, it's exactly who I watch. John's incredible. Ransoms don't even happen anymore. Not like the 80s and the 70s and 80s. And they call the house phone, right? That, the Mel Gibson movie Ransom. What they normally did was they would leave a note because, and this is so painfully obvious that I always feel stupid when I say it, but if you come home and your kid's not there, your first response is going to be to call 911, which the person that snatched your kid doesn't want to happen. So you put the note right inside the front door, right? There's a note there that says, they cut letters out of a magazine so you can't test the handwriting and all that garbage. And you say, we have your kid. Here's how you're going to get a hold of me. Leave them a burner phone that only you know the number to, right? I'm going to call you on this phone. Call them from a different burner phone every time. Throw it out. Do it from different places. Chickacherry Cola. It's hard to keep it going because of all of the misinformation. But here's the way I look at true crime every single time. It's a numbers game. And sometimes you get burned. Sometimes the statistical information on these types of crimes don't pan out. But if you've been into true crime for any length of time, the last person to see the person alive, dead, or before they're kidnapped is a good starting place. If it happens to be an abduction, look for family because there's an 8 out of 10 chance it's going to be family or really, really close friends, right? So who was the last person to see Nancy before she disappeared, right? That we know of. And that would be Neckbeard. Start looking at family. Who in the family might have a motivation to have her disappear? I don't imagine Savannah has much of one, right? Because it always comes back to financial stuff. 8 out of 10 crimes are going to go down that way. Steve Mack, good to have you here, man. Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I watched the podcast last night where they didn't want to say SA happened, and they are testing the sheets in Nancy's bedroom. Okay. I would have hoped they would have done that already. Yeah, I don't think trailing 4 o'clock. Yeah, I don't think that the original intent was to kidnap and kill her. I think the original intent might have been to kidnap this woman and then they died in the process. Right? I believe that that's probably more likely what happened. She said up. So somebody had just asked. She said that they were increasing by $1 million. There's a reward of $202,000 or $2,500. $200,000 plus the original $2,500 that was put up on day one, which was a friggin' insult anyway. But $200,000 was what was there. So now it's $2,500. Sorry. So it's they were raising the $200,000 by $1 million is what was happening. They don't make magazines that have words like ransom and text. Not anymore, right? Those days are kind of over. The Airbnb next door was a gem dealer. I think they went to the wrong place. If you're going in with that kind of recon, you don't get the wrong place. I mean, that's just, there was time put into this. Watch that fool walk around. I'm telling you, just as a criminal, if you're going up to pull a job like that and you're doing it at 2 o'clock in the morning, your heart's doing this number. Everyone talks about what an amateur that dude is. He may have done some dumb shit. He didn't bring a screwdriver, right? There's some dumb stuff that he did. However, he doesn't look uncomfortable. He doesn't even look mildly uncomfortable. He's walking around that front porch like he owns it. If he's more comfortable at his own front porch, I would be shocked. Whoever was doing that, they had intel. They knew what was up. You know, they absolutely knew what was up. I don't think that they're going to make that mistake. I really don't. And again, if you're going to rob the guy next door, you're not going to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. A gem guy at 2 o'clock in the morning, I would bet you my life he's got a hand cannon. If you're in the gem business, you got a shotgun, you got a pistol. There's so much of America has a gun. Where do they keep it? Under their pillow, in their nightstand, right by their bed. That's where people keep guns. Criminals don't go places where people can shoot at them. That crap happens in movies. We want the easiest money possible, right? I robbed banks, never brought a gun with me to any bank, ever. You don't want to get shot. You're just trying to get money and get out. You know, movies like, it happens. There are idiots that do it. You know why they do it? Because they watch too many movies. For real. Most bank robbers don't do anything like that. And I promise you, the guys that do home invasions do it at dinner time or they do it at 10 o'clock in the morning. I did see the photo shoot. And it made me sick. It really did. It made me sick. I think that, once again, yeah, it was not a robbery. And here's the thing. So let's say that you were going into the gem person's house and you got her by accident, right? You're not going to steal everything she has? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you loot the dog crap out of that house? You're a thief. You go into houses to steal things. You're going to go in there and leave her gold. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, in my opinion. Yeah, they don't clean up after themselves when they do. Someone said they didn't clean up after doing fingerprints. No, that dust is left for everybody. Let's see what we got here. I stick with my original. She's been gone since day one. No sexual assault. I doubt robbery or ransom because they didn't take anything and haven't collected. It either went bad or they were paid to take her. Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. It's the gems and stones were in the garage, not the house. Then they weren't the kind of gems and stones you got to worry about, right? For real. I mean, who leaves those kind of valuables in a garage? But it seems very odd to me. And I promise you that, I bought and sold stupid expensive watches, right? It was a way that I made money for a long time. And I've never met a watch guy that I went into a hotel room once and the guy had it looked almost like you were in a jewelry store. He had set up with the black velvet and cases and all that in a hotel room. And I went in and I went, oh my God, it was like a holy grail of every great watch ever made. And I went, can I see that? And it was a triple date moon phase Patek Philippe. And he handed it to me. I turned it over. It said 800 grand on the bottom of it. And I went, good Lord. And he goes, yeah. I go, because a friend of mine had said, you should go over and check out these watches. I said, you know what, man? I said, everything in here is going to be so far out of my price range. I said, I don't want to waste your time. He goes, no, hang out, talk. We had a really good talk. But I said to him at one point after picking up a watch that was a minute repeater you could wear on your wrist, in the old days when you, instead of lighting a match and having to light a candle, you could take a watch and pull down and it would make different tones to let you know what time it is during the day. Patek still makes one. And they go 650, 650, 700,000. This was an older version. It was a really expensive watch. And I go, man, you trust people like this? And right as I said it, he went and pulled a gun up, like right from behind the thing. He goes, oh no, anybody that's working with these things has got a gun nearby. And I went, oh, okay. I thought to myself, if this guy knew my record, but that was the old me. I think they're just laid back in that neighborhood. I don't think that anybody is so laid back that they're leaving diamonds in the garage. And everybody said all of this stuff about nobody locks their door in Tucson. I don't know anybody that doesn't lock their door in Tucson, right? I mean, I knew 25 houses. I don't know anybody that didn't lock their doors. Most of them have a security system. Everybody's got cameras. I don't know what the hell they're talking about with that. I really don't. And most people keep their door locked 24/7 because they go through their garage. Everybody I know in Tucson goes through their garage. Tommy, I might be wrong, but there are a lot of there's a whole science to sick bastards. It's been studied ad nauseum, right? And what they have found over the years is that the older the victim, the younger the perp. The most recent case that we've seen on true crime was a 15-year-old boy that raped, what was she, 92? She was in her 90s. And the kid that did it was either 15 or 16. And if you're 105, the kid's probably going to be 13. And I don't understand exactly why that works, but there have been books written about it. This is just one of those things. The people at the door don't look young to me, right? I don't see those people being in their 20s. Personally, I just don't. But I don't see it as a sexual. Hello. The worst part of that case is that they had to bring mom in to hear about it. But there are sickos out there. It's not about sex, right? This is one of the biggest misconceptions in all of crime. Rape has nothing to do with sex. I mean, yes, that's what they do, but they're not doing it for the reason that we have sex, right? Where you look at someone and go, "Ooh, I'd like to have sex." Nothing like that. It's about control. It's about domination. It's about fear. It's about all of the things that you don't experience when you're having sex, right? It's bad wiring. However, it's usually fairly predictable bad wiring. People argue with me on this. People do grab people from homes, right? They don't grab people from homes often. If you're going to rape somebody, you don't usually kidnap someone to go rape them. Now, there are serial killers who did, and that was their MO. But for the normal individuals that commit rapes, they do it where they find the people. Oh. See, I am completely confused. Gotcha. The gem show in Tucson, there are gems in there, right, that aren't diamonds or rubies or sapphires. There are buttloads of crystals. There's all kinds of stuff that you absolutely would store in your garage. The way that this has been put to me by so many different people were that this guy was a gemstone dealer. That's a lot different. I've been to the gem show, and there are people in the gem show that are selling, stones that you can buy for $7. And those are the kind of things that you would keep entire like Tupperware tubs full of in your garage. Diamonds, not so much, right? Rubies, not so much. It wouldn't be a huge score. And if you're a thief, that isn't shit you're stealing, right? If you could get uncut diamonds, we take uncut diamonds. The problem is every diamond now that anybody sells anywhere in the world, they etch a serial number in the top of, right? The diamond game is kind of done. You can still steal gold because they can't put any kind of a marker on gold. You just melt it. But stones like that, they're very hard to move because they have a serial number now. They've gotten very good at it. And the serial number wasn't originally put there to make sure people didn't steal them. It was originally put there to make sure that they're not coming from countries that take advantage of people to get those diamonds. Blood diamonds, conflict diamonds. You probably saw the movie. They better not be trying to grab me because my people are poor. Well, there you go. That will help. I picked the right country. People always go, they kidnap people in South America. It's true. But I'm 1.5 feet taller than everybody in South America. Yes, rose quartz, etc. It's still the coolest thing in the world. Any word on the bandmate Dominic? Other than the fact that the sheriff certainly has not said that he's ruled him out. He's never said anything like that. But he did an interview with the people at the New York Times, Dominic, and said, his kid can't come home. He works at a school. His wife is a teacher, and they're living in hell because he is being linked to this. I'll tell you, there's not enough to know about the guy. But he said in that interview, if you read the whole thing, that they're staying inside, they're keeping the lights off. Well, maybe that's one of the reasons that everyone's freaking. But he also said people drive up and down the street. There are people parked out in front of his house. I would imagine it's hell, especially if he didn't do it. He has a scar right here. So does the guy in the balaclava. But that's not a tremendous amount to go on. I mean, if you're a guy that gets in fistfights, if you could see me in real life, I got a big one right here. I got them all over the. If you're a guy that lived that life, you're gonna be scarred up. You wouldn't believe what my arms look like. In New York City, some man died on a subway car, and the police are looking for some male sicko who raped the dead. Oh, I remember that. I remember that case. I absolutely remember that case. The guy found the person dead and then raped him. Oh, there are absolutely deviant cats out there. Porch Goon was so relaxed because he had a lookout getaway car telling him, yeah, I think that there's something to that, but also just the way he moves. I mean, it's one thing to be relaxed. He moved around there like, I mean, it was almost like it was choreographed. His foot came up. If you watch him, you have to realize they're inverting that, right? So it's dark. There's no porch light on. It's dark as hell. He bends down to grab that stuff, doesn't catch his foot on the 6-inch upstair, and he's turning and doing all this at once. Just looks like he'd been there before. If not, he was super friggin' familiar with it. He has those eyebrows. Jeez, the guy's plucking or waxing their eyebrows. Robin Ross, it's 2026. It's 2026. We don't know how he identifies or his pronouns, and perhaps he waxes his eyebrows. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Sam Park, thank you so much, man. It keeps the lights on, and I really do appreciate it. And if you're just getting here, there's 930 of you in here. Do me a favor, smack that like button. It really does help. More importantly, it pisses off YouTube. You might have noticed I'm not saying SA. I'm not saying that it might not have been a rape. I use all those words that no one else does. Why? Because I just can't bring myself to change my speech patterns for the purpose of making an extra dollar. It feels very disrespectful to the survivors of those kind of crimes if I call something grape or sexual small. Like that just sounds friggin' stupid to me. It seems disrespectful, and I'm never going to do it. So I do appreciate all of the help. Does a left-handed person wear the gun around their waist differently or facing in a different direction? Only in a couple of cowboy movies. For the most part, that's not how people wear guns. If they're right-handed, then the handle's going to be on their right side, right? Sometimes in movies you see them go this way, like quick draw shit, but in the real world, no one does that. No newspeak. Texas Red, exactly. The holster was set for a right-handed person. Yes. Apparently, no joke, there's about at least 1,000 tips that came in that said just that. So I understand why Nanos probably is a bit frustrated, but wording it that you shouldn't call unless you're sure goes against if you see something, call something, right? Or, if you see something, call it. It's just stupid. If you see something, say something. I kind of think controversial comment actually helps. Just a guess. I have nothing against controversial comments, unless they're just, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that. What does Dominic drive? That's a hell of a question. However, there's other things. Nancy Grace said today when she was on, they were talking about that they may have technology, if they're lucky, that would even allow them to pull a license plate off of that car. I don't know if that's possible with the speed that's going by. It's not really my wheelhouse. But she also said, but there's no chance. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry to hear that. It is terrible. It is. And I won't do newspeak. I appreciate you. And I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm a survivor too, believe it or not. It happened to me as a kid. My man, left-handed people in your family, or are you the only one? Johnny Scoville's left-handed. See that? Those freaks show up in every family. How the hell do you write with your left hand? Never made any sense to me. I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with left-handed people, except Johnny. Front door perp could be ambidextrous. He could be. Johnny Scoville's ambidextrous. I'm not joking. Didn't you play tennis right-handed? Not either. Yeah, and then swing a bat left-handed. He's a weirdo. The guy in the video does appear to have the same scar on his lip. Let's see if we still got that one loaded up. I think I do. There it is. There's Dominic appearing on what should be the left side of your screen. And there is the missing section of mustache on the right side. Don't just look at the scar, though. Thickness of lip, right? Kind of, you see where the light kind of shines off of his lower lip, kind of shines off the upper lip. In both photos, it just leads you to believe that they're pretty damn similar. Is it me? I don't know. I see it. Personally, I see it. And no, you know what? I like the head shape doesn't match. You see, I can see why you might say that, but the balaclava is going to throw that off, right? The balaclava doesn't fit What I'd really like to know about the cat is how big his hands are, right? How big are Dominic's hands? If we could figure that one out. I know he's a drummer, right? But that hand right there, that hand has got to belong to someone that has a very, very small hand. Allegedly, they said that there's a glove under that glove. Like he doubled that up, right? If you can double up a glove underneath a nitrile glove, then your hands, sorry about that. Come on now. Would you look at this? Sorry, people. If you can double up gloves wearing nitrile, this is a 2X. You see any wrinkles in that thing? Right? That's a 2X. You're not getting, his looks like, I can't even do it with this glove. There's no way I can pull it off. But this is a 2X glove. Whoever has been able to get a pair of gloves underneath a set. I can't argue this, right? This is not a point I can argue. I happen to agree with you on this one. Is there any chance anything will work today? There we go. The only person that matches the suspect is Luke Daly. Those eyes are intense. I do think that Luke's eyes look remarkably like the person on the porch's eyes. I do. However, and it's hard to know what you know is true and what isn't, but allegedly that cat took a polygraph test. He also lawyered up real quick. Now, I know most people go, you only lawyer up if you're guilty. If you're an individual that's been to prison 3 times, like when I had trolls in the United States call the Department of Homeland Security and tell them that I was involved in human trafficking. Yeah, Johnny and I were both doing it. Johnny, first of all, Johnny doesn't do things wrong and hasn't. So when they called and said, we'd kind of like to talk to you about this, I said, absolutely no chance in hell am I talking to you about anything, because their job isn't to actually interview you. Their job is to try to build a case against you. And if anybody believes differently, then you've never been to prison. They don't give a crap one way or the other. I only had one case ever that I was accused of that I had nothing to do with. And I went in the first time and they said, listen, if you plead guilty today, I said, I'm not pleading guilty. It wasn't me. No chance in hell am I pleading guilty. There can't be evidence because I didn't do it. They walked out of the room, came back in and said, here's. Right? This was an alleged burglary. And it wasn't really the kind of crimes I did. But I said, no, I'm not pleading to a burglary. I did nothing. Then they came back and said, all right, we'll let you go. But the whole time they're trying to get an innocent person to plead because their job is based on how many friggin' people can they get convicted. When they say this person's got a 97% conviction rate, that doesn't mean they went to court and won that many times. That means they scared the shit out of enough people to plead guilty. I just started watching you a few weeks ago and absolutely love that you are so brilliant and so real. Well, thank you. Thank you for your dedication to Nancy's case. I pray to God that she's found soon. I do too. What a kind thing to say, Jen. If I was brilliant, I probably would have been doing this a long time ago instead of my other line of work. I'm feeling a lot smarter since getting off of dope. You wouldn't have liked me 20 years ago, but that's such a kind thing to say. I really appreciate it. Yeah, there's something to that. I think Luke could be involved if he has ties to Neckbeard, which he might. I haven't been able to find any. I know other people claim that. Doesn't Dominic's criminal history and 20-year friendship with Tommaso make him a likely suspect? You would think so. And it is interesting that when they said, we have eliminated all family, they didn't say family and friends. They didn't say, hey, this guy's not, stop picking on him. Think of where the sheriff's coming from on the family. Poor Tommaso. Everyone's talking about Tommaso. I got news for you. The whole friggin' world is talking about the band member, and no one is saying crap about him. The sheriff didn't come out and say, get off Dominic. He didn't do anything wrong. I find that interesting, don't you? Why is it okay for the world to shit all over Dominic, but not on Neckbeard? I guess because he wasn't related to Nancy. He's not suffering. He's not a victim. I don't know, man. I don't know. But one of the other things that they're pumping out a lot now is that, look, they got a male DNA's profile from inside the house. obviously they would have compared that to Neckbeard. I never thought Neckbeard went inside that house. I don't think he'd be that dumb. I think he would have been the mastermind, maybe driving the car, but I don't think he would have gone inside, right? Especially if my theory of a botched kidnapping for ransom or a botched abduction for ransom is correct. They don't want that woman seeing who it was. If it was Dominic that went in, they were planning on killing her. There's no other explanation. But I don't think he ever went in there. Doesn't one of those roads go up to Mount Lemon? Seems like law enforcement looked in that direction. I wonder why, or hasn't looked in that direction. It seems like it would be a good place to hide in a remote cabin. So that's the road that goes up to Mount Lemon is called, I think it's called the Catalina Parkway, isn't it? Pretty sure it's called the Catalina Parkway. It doesn't come straight out. You would be on some roads. I would imagine that they've looked at all of the cameras that go that route, if that makes sense. If you just started looking at all of the cameras at the beginning of the climb up to Mount Lemon, you'd be set. And I'm sure they're going through thousands of hours of those too. Or I shouldn't say I'm sure. Any real cop would be, right? We don't know what they're doing. Mishandling of the evidence. Sheriff Nano sounds like a possible suspect. Porch Cam was a misinformed dupe. Killed and dumped same time as Nancy. Nano's steered investigation, keeping car make. Yeah, I understand why you say that. And I'll be honest with you, you could probably sell this as a theory that isn't bad, right? I just try to find a motive for why the sheriff would do this, because that's the thing that I get hung up on. I think he's just incompetent. I just think he's absolutely friggin' incompetent. I think he's really, really self-conscious about what a small, what he's packing. And I think that he's in a consistent, nonstop pissing contest with the FBI, who is investigating him. And he wants to get in front of cameras. This is a guy that has a reality show that he worked on. He wasn't the star of it or anything like that, but I think he's enamored with Hollywood. I think he likes cameras, and I think he likes the whole political side of his job. I don't think he likes being a cop. Hey, Will Power, what's up, Will? People, if you've never gone over and checked out Will's channel, he is another person that survived heroin, prison, very similar life, actually. However, he's an authority on the prison system in in Arizona, rather. So we'll be talking to him in the near future about that. Will survived a rip or two in the prison system in Arizona, which is an ugly prison system, by the way. It's no joke. It's got to be family. Okay, I agree. I happen to agree. I'm thinking I'm going with 2 Mexicans for hire. It sounds more plausible, possibly hired by Neckbeard. You know what? That holds as much water as anything else. Derek Calleja is the California guy. He texted Annie and Tommaso, then called Tommaso for 9 seconds. Yeah. I don't think he would have held his mud as long as he has if he was involved in this. I think he would have ratted instantly. A guy that doesn't talk, doesn't talk. This is a guy that instantly said, yeah, I did it. I had nothing to do with the kidnapping, but I absolutely sent the fake ransom. That's not a 2-year prison sentence, right? You can go away for a long time for doing that. That's an attempted fraud across state lines. That's a federal offense. And he's already gone in front of the feds. And I promise you, they will scare the shit out of you. If he was, I have a lot of experience with the FBI and being interrogated by the FBI. If he was involved in this, he would have lawyered up 2 seconds. He wouldn't have said one word. As soon as they got him on the phone, he admitted to it. I think if he was a part of the scheme, he would have turned those 2 in that fast, because he could have walked, not been in any trouble, right? The first person in the door gets a hell of a deal. They really do. I'm thinking I'm going with 2 Mexicans for hire. It sounds more plausible. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that it is a plausible thing, especially there's a leak out there that they killed the person that was at the front door, dumped in the same place they dumped Nancy, and then they zipped across the Mexican border, right? And I can understand why people think it's logical. He's an hour and 20 minutes away. Sheriff needed some idea for season 3. It went wrong. Yeah, that is going out there. What? Some people are famous by association, and Savannah is famous. And so, there's there's Nanos. Some people are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness stolen from them when they go in front of too many cameras and act stupid. The Mexican for hires thing, here's my only problem with that. In my experience, the kind of guy tough enough to do that from that part of the world usually has a job already. And I'm not being a smartass, but regardless of what anybody wants to say on any side of the aisle, 90% of every single person I ever met from Mexico or Mexican people are the salt of the earth. They're just like anybody else. They want to have a happy life, a good family. They want to take care of their responsibilities. The percentage that go into crime because the United States makes it so friggin' profitable to go into crime, the people that come here and do that, most of them will never, ever hurt anybody. They're here to sell drugs. If they get caught, I used to rob them. I swear to God, there was probably a 2 or 3 year stretch where I robbed a couple a week, and they don't fight back. They don't carry a weapon. They just hand the stuff over. It's just a cost of doing business. They're not in this line of work very often, right? And the ones that are hard enough to do that end up killing people for the cartels. The cartels don't come into America to kidnap people often. It has happened. It has happened. But I don't think Nancy was in the drug trade, and I don't think that you can fly under the radar forever. But if something comes up and the FBI comes in, they'll know you're involved in drugs in about an hour and 5 minutes because they will have a whole network of people that have snitched to them before. I mean, I swear to God, if you ever saw how drugs go down in the United States of America, if you've never been in that life, there was a bust way back in the day, and every bust that's come along since has just been somebody telling on somebody. I'm not being funny. There was a girl I dated whose brother was in the DEA. It's a true story. He came in, knocked at the door. I thought it was my girl. I said, "Yeah, come in." And I was just putting away a spoon, a needle, the whole works. And he walked in and went, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "Hey, I'm sorry, man. I said, I thought you were someone else." And he's like, "Yeah, no big deal." And then he took his badge out and dropped it on the table. And I went, "Oh my God." And he goes, "Don't worry about it." He's like, "But you got to get clean." And he and I ended up getting to be friends, and we talked a lot. And he said, "I worked one case in my life where I investigated. I went out and found things. I busted 6 people. 5 of them cut a deal. They told on 4 or 5 people each." He said, "I've been in it 11 years. I'm still working off of everybody telling on each other." The network of snitches is like a friggin' spider web. All of that stuff about criminals never telling on one another, I promise you that's in movies. I promise you. The Snitch and Wesson, the 9mm, the Snitchblade, that guy, right? They will tell so fast it will blow your mind. It's just how it goes down. It does make no sense. It does make no sense. And I want to tell you something. Vultures, this and that. The girl at the store that found the car that got traced back to, was she an armchair quarterback? Huh? Is she an internet sleuth? Or is she just some person that solved the case? There are YouTube channels run by women that have solved 3 and 4 cases, cold cases, because they get on this and they start. The more eyes on something, the better. That's the truth. Unless you misinform everybody, and you got half of the audience believing that Nancy was the last person to see Nancy was Annie. The last person to see Nancy was Neckbeard. You got all of this misinformation flying around. It makes all of it a little bit more difficult for those of us that really get into this. Hold on 1 second. Let me damned. Thank you. Can we see the sheriff with a balaclava, please? I don't know if he's tall enough. I just got a math teaching commercial. Seems appropriate because the math isn't mathing. I'm so glad I got clean too. It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life. Tommy, the feds spent a long time inside a guest house that was on Nancy's property. Yeah, almost everybody has one of those. I shouldn't say everybody. There are a lot of those in Tucson. It's a very, very popular thing. It's like a mother-in-law. It'll have a kitchen. It'll have it's basically a very small house. They call it a casita. And a lot of people have them. I wear sobriety beautifully. That's one of the kindest things that anyone has ever said. Did I like the movie Drugstore Cowboy? Oh, God, did I. That was an epic film. That was an epic film. Very well done. This is like John Bonet, Carol. And in my opinion, it's like John Bonet for the exact same freaking reason. They came out instantly and ruled out the family. And then, it's just been a shit show from that day forward. Misinformation on cases poor handling of evidence, all of these things just start to compound, and Burke walks free, right? And on the bright side, technology's come a long way. What it isn't is law and order. It's not going to be over in 3 minutes. It's going to take longer than that. This is being heavily compared to John Bonet. I do not, my sobriety birthday, the 27th of June. I quit on the 26th. 27th was my first day sober. Kash Patel releasing the video and images and messed up the timeline as the FBI jetted to the Olympics for his frat party. No apologies for his stupid idiocy. Yeah, it's been a shit show from the word go, hasn't it? But in all honesty, it probably isn't the greatest look anyway for the head of the FBI to be doing this. I mean, I'm sorry. Let the local offices handle this, but it's everybody wanting a victory lap. It's everybody wanting to go, yeah, I was right in the middle of that. And that's a problem. There is a crime convention in Las Vegas this summer for crime content people. Yeah, you know what? I got invited to go to that last year. I don't think I will make it this year, Ruth. I'll be honest with you. And I know I'll lose some subs, Johnny Scoville. But I am so happy where I'm at, man. Oh, what year? It's 11 years this year, right? I'm going into my 11th year of sobriety. Sorry about that. Tommy, where do you think Nancy is, dead or alive? I can't tell you where she is, but she is. She's dead. In my humble opinion, there's not a chance on God's green earth she's still alive. If you were the kidnappers and you were going to hold on to a woman who was 84 years old for almost a month, it would take a tremendous amount of effort because of the stress alone that it's going to put on her. If she doesn't have opiates, which they say she was on, her kicking that would be a real problem. And I know people go, you can just go into Mexico. You can. But one of the things that will take out somebody with a pacemaker faster than anything is dehydration, right? Yeah, thank you, Truth Finder. And you know what? I would say 100% you're right. Without God, I would not have made it. I believe wholeheartedly in that. That woman right there, Relatable Reese, she has a channel. That's my wife. Without her, I'd be in a world of hurt too. Honest to God. I mentioned earlier that I'm a survivor. Those are things that I couldn't even talk about before I met Reese. She's been a life changer for me. The fact that they've returned the family's home back makes me think that the investigation is taking a different shift and to more digital evidence and or new suspects. You're 100% right. I promise you. They've spent 23 days having that crime scene, give or take all the days they gave it back, right? Give or take all the days that they gave it back. But they've had this for a really long time. What are the odds of her enjoying a bottle of Moscato and a plate of chicken piccata right now? I'm going to go with slim to none. I would love to think that that's the case, but I just wish is go channel. Funny as hell. In fact, she should be protesting at the Church of Scientology probably any minute now. And it's a great place to see her. If you're a mod, throw her link up there and then put Johnny Scoville's too. My brother has a channel. You saw him. He looks exactly like me. But you'll probably see him tonight. We should be going live unless there's any problem with the internet. We're going to be going live at midnight. If there is problems with the internet, it'll be tomorrow night at midnight. But we do a show every week where we recap the stuff and answer a bunch of questions and act much more stupid because at midnight you can just let your hair down. The rest of the time we kind of keep it up. All right, people, do me a favor. Smack that like button on the way out. I am going to call this a night. I really appreciate you guys spending this much time with me, and I would love to keep going. However, what are the odds that the case go lukewarm to cold? Harvey Levin will tell you the case is cold right now. Everybody has a different definition for what a cold case is. My theory is when they have no more leads to work, the case is going cold. And I think that with the $1 million reward and the willingness to pay cash now on that, I think you're going to get a lot more people that are going to put in a lot more leads. I don't see this going cold. That's my humble opinion. All right, people, go and check out Relatable Reese. Watch her take out the Church of Scientology. Always makes me there should be a midnight stream tonight unless the internet keeps doing what it's doing. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, do me a favor. Put a little love in your heart. Be kind to one another and pray for the Guthrie family. They absolutely need it. God bless you. See you on the next one. Good night.